and welcome to Viewpoint on Ukraine Today. The Communist Party of Ukraine has been banned from operating and taking part in elections. A Kyiv court upheld a government lawsuit which charged the party with, quote, inciting ethnic hatred and promoting separatism. But what does this mean in practice? To discuss Ukraine's push forward with decommunization, we're joined by one of the authors of the laws on decommunization, Ukrainian lawyer Serhiy Ryabchenko. Welcome to Viewpoint.
Hello.
So tell us, why is this so important right now for Ukraine to ban the Communist Party?
Exactly, the banning of the Communist Party in Ukraine is only one part of the much more procedure which we call the decommunization. The decommunization is not exactly the procedure when we ban some kind of parties, when we rename or change the names of the towns, of the village in Ukraine, but it is the process which we pointed and which we started to change the minds of the people, of the citizens of Ukraine. On the other hand, the process of the decommunization is the point of view, the opinion of the state, of the Ukrainian society, to our past, to the previous communist regime that existed on the territory of Ukraine for the period of more than 70 years ago.
But should the state have power over dictating what the people should believe, particularly other former powers? And
you see, the state does not point on what people should believe in. The state only said that the regime, the communist regime, the Nazi regime that existed also on the territory of Ukraine during the Second World War, that these regimes were the criminal regimes, that these regimes have made many crimes, such as the crime of genocide, the crime of Holodomor, the crime of Holocaust, other many more crimes, such as the crimes against the free speech, the free point of view, and so on and so forth.
So, in a way, the Ukrainian government is trying to kind of let go of this painful past that Ukraine experienced. Yeah. I see. But specifically, this communist ban, what does this? What will it mean in practice?
In practice, it means only that the Communist Party, there are some conditions written in the law of the decommunization, according to which the party should not use the banned symbols, the names that are forbidden according to law, and the Communist Party, it does not suit these conditions. So, from one hand, it was the result of their position, that they say they do not want to execute the law. On the other hand, it was the result of analysis by the court, by the administrative court of the first instance of Kyiv, that makes an analysis of the program, of the statute of this Communist Party, and it was such a decision that the Communist Party should be banned.
I see. Now, Amnesty International has come out and said that this is a decisive blow for freedom of speech in Ukraine, and they've called for the decision to be immediately overturned. What's your take on this?
To my mind, if we look through this point of view of Amnesty International, we can see that this point of view is maybe based on the not fully information of the Amnesty International of the situation inside Ukraine. You see, now now we have war in Ukraine. We have war with the Russian Federation, and these symbols of the former Soviet regime is such a markers by which the Russian power, the Russian authorities, the Russian propagandists try to make the situation in the territory of Ukraine for the to start war, to start some kind of public.
So you see that there is a connection between the Communist Party and what's going on in the East?
I think it is not exactly the connection between the Communist Party, but speaking in brief, that some members of the Communist Party, we can see now that they are the part of these terrorist bands, terrorist gangsters that are on the east of Ukraine and that are pro-Russian separatists. Exactly. But on the other hand, the symbols of the former Soviet regime for the Russia, for the enemies of Ukraine that are on the eastern part of our country, for these terrorists, these are the markers not of the former regime, not of the Soviet Union, but of this so-called Russian world.
I see. Very, very interesting. Now, I think a lot of analysts said that this was quite a hasty decision to be made by the Ukrainian government to ban the Communist Party. For example, Australia over 60 years ago tried to ban the Communist Party as well. And in 1951, they had an Australian referendum on whether to ban the Communist Party. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it was narrowly defeated. Now, do you think that the Ukrainian government should have held a referendum regarding this issue?
No, I think we do not need such a referendum because, as we speak about the banning of the Communist Party, we should stress that it was not the decision of the government. It was the decision of the law, of the court. I'm sorry. It was a decision only of the court of the first instance, and now it is the study of the appeal court and the Communist Party as any other.
But shouldn't it be up to the people to decide?
I think not, because even in the European countries, it is the decision of the court to ban or not to ban any political party or some other authority.
Can you take an example from history?
It was from history. It was a very good example in the Western Germany, when by the decision of the court, the Communist Party of the Germany in the year, if I'm not mistaken, in the 1960s, it was banned as the non-constitutional organization.
I see. And you believe that this is what Ukraine needs to do now as well, to ban the Communist Party in a way to rid itself of that legacy, of the Soviet legacy?
Yeah, I think from one hand, if we are speaking about the process of decommunization, that one of the points of this process may be the banning of the organizations that are against the law. On the other hand, if we are speaking about this process of decommunization, it is much more wider process than only to ban something, to forbid some symbols, and so on and so forth. As I have spoken before, the result of this process of decommunization should be the changing of the mind of the people living in Ukraine.
I see, but I'm sure on a lot of people's minds that right now is the war in the East and the failing economy. Do you think that this is a good time to impose this ban when there's other issues at hand currently?
You see, if we are speaking in such a position, then we should speak about that we have war, and if we have war, we do not need to make a reform, for example, of the police, of the court, of the social sphere, or make fighting with the corruption, and so on and so forth. So if speaking from this point of view, we should make only war and nothing more.
What about some of the residents? What do you think their response will be to this communist ban? For example, just ordinary Ukrainians. How do you think they will respond to this?
I think yes. I think that to the ordinary of Ukraine, the banning or not banning of the Communist Party is not the point that is that they speak and they think about every day.
So you don't think it's going to be highly disputed among the older generation, which was which regards the Soviet Union as this
if we even remember the results of the last parliamentary elections, so we see that the Communist Party, they are even not the parliamentary fraction now.
So you see these decommunization laws being underway, and you see them being successful and helping Ukraine let go of its painful past.
Yeah, I think they will do their mission, will get the result. Will change the mind, but it will not be the very fast process. And speaking about the procedure of decommunization, last Friday there was the point of view of the Venice Commission, and one of the points that they stressed on, they recognized the right of Ukraine to make such a process of decommunization.
But they criticized it. They
criticized some points of the law, but in general they say that it is okay that Ukraine has the right to make such a process and even ban some symbols and even criminalize such symbols.
I see. So Poland underwent a similar process earlier, I believe.
Not exactly. In the constitution of Poland, there is a point that the political parties that proclaim the Nazi, the fascist, and the communist practice, totalitarian practice, they should be banned and they cannot exist in their society. So they have such a point in their constitution.
But Ukraine does not want to have a similar one. It wants a different one.
You see, we have different situation in Ukraine than in Poland and even in the Baltic states that were with Ukraine for more than 40 years in the Soviet Union. We have our own situation, and according to our own situation, we have our own laws on decommunization. So a very simple example, if in the year 1991 in Poland, in the whole Poland, they had maybe 5 or 10 monuments of Lenin, in Ukraine in this same time we had more than 5,000 monuments of Lenin, only of Lenin.
So a huge difference.
Yeah.
So Ukraine needs different laws and perhaps a different approach. I do hope that these new laws will undergo successfully and Ukraine looks towards a brighter future. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
This has been Mr. Serhiy Ryabchenko, and you've been watching Viewpoint on Ukraine Today.